Brian Early, field agronomist with Pioneer, joining you again on another cloudy, gloomy day here on October the 20th. Wanted to examine why corn dry down is so slow this year. Today, I had the opportunity to start looking through some research data, some literature I could find to see if things like this had happened, which I was sure they had in the past, looking at why it's so strung out this year. And of course, the obvious one is weather. The weather has been very uncooperative this year. I should say the very tail end of this year. So starting with September on the left, just looking at the highs and lows every days, it was probably some of the best grain fill conditions. So you saw those really nice warm days to where you could really build sugars during the day, and then really cool nights where you just didn't have a lot of waste from the plants. So that's part of the reason why we've got such big kernels and good yields this year, is because September was really absolutely great grain fill weather. But we should have been mature on corn probably by the third, maybe the start of the fourth week in September in almost every case, even with later planting. And we just didn't see that. Black layer just kept going and going, or lack of black layer just kept getting stretched out. And so that's really what I wanted to look at and see why that was happening. So when you look at the right, then this is the weather from South Bend for the month of October so far. And it's absolutely miserable. I knew it was bad, but when I looked at this, I didn't realize what we had. So I highlighted a couple things here. So cloud cover, of course, everybody feels like it's the middle of winter. It's gloomy and cloudy every day. Well, it really has been. We've had out of 20 days, it's been somewhat cloudy or very cloudy for 17 of those days. Right below it, average relative humidity is at 72%, pretty high for October. That's something you normally see in the middle of a growing season or the rainy months like June and July. So, pretty abnormal for October to be that high on relative humidity. And then probably the most disturbing ones of all is the amount of rain we've had. So not heavy rains in most cases, other than to the northwest, just light rains all the time in conjunction with the cloudiness. So at least 9 out of 20 days we've had light rain, and probably the one that really baffled me the most was the amount of foggy mornings we've had. So we are sitting right now at 17 out of 20 mornings we've had at least some kind of fog. So where September weather was beautiful for grain fill and really prolonged it, October's just made any kind of dry down very miserable. So I'm going to hyperlink a article into the YouTube link, if you look at the comments or right above the comments, to a University of Illinois article that I thought was great. So this is pictures from that article, and if you replaced in the article Illinois with Indiana in the year 2022, which this article came out with 2023 for us, it really mirrors what happened for us. So when people were out first looking at ear sets on corn, you didn't see a lot of rows long, pretty normal amount of rows around because of the dry conditions. Well, then we started getting rain and conditions reversed on us, so we had great fill weather. So what you had is plants that have a nice canopy. They got a lot of green. They were very healthy throughout August and September. So we had this big factory that wanted to fill lots and lots of kernels. We just didn't have as many set, maybe as we normally have. So what we have was conditions right to set great big kernels. So part of what's going on with the slow dry down this year is we've got tremendous stay green in the plants. So these plants stay green well into the end of September. So where we normally would have most of the canopy browned out, you had a lot of fields had tremendous amounts of green in them. So that doesn't let air move through the fields near as well. Ears stayed upright where they don't dry out as well. So you kind of had everything there to keep moisture around and keep the moisture in the fields and really limit the dry down. But the big kernels are probably the thing that's limiting dry down on a physiological side more than anything. So normally when we're counting kernels per pound, we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 85,000 kernels per pound. And that's what we would feel or have in our yield equation for the estimate. Well, this year, when you look at the actual kernels per pound, you could get estimates 50,000, maybe even a hair below that on some hybrids. So we just got tremendously large kernels from building those big kernels in September. And what happens with that is, if you think about water inside those kernels, it's got to move through a lot more impedance and a lot further distance within that kernel to get out and through the pericarp to dry down. So between the green plants and the big kernels, this article did a great job summarizing why Illinois saw this in 2022. And that really mirrors why we are seeing it in 2023. So I wanted to share that with anybody that might find interest in this. So if there's any questions, feel free to shoot me a message back. Thank you.